are back for another episode, ladies and gentlemen.
Money Podcast, guys. Hello.
The Marriage and Money Podcast with Egypt and Mike.
So we're going to talk retirement.
Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what she want to talk about. That's what we're going to talk about.
Wink,
okay.
wink, like, babe, so we're going to talk retirement. Is that what we're going to talk about? It's so silly.
It's all right.
Well, the reason I wanted to talk retirement is because I'm noticing on social media and message boards everywhere, there is more, and it's been going on for years, but there's more conversation about Social Security not being around. Okay?
That's been a talk for a while, though.
Well, I know it, but it seems like a lot of the things people have been talking about over the last decade or even 20 years are actually coming to fruition in our lifetime. And so because of that, I think we have to reprogram ourselves.
Definitely.
And become less dependent on the government and what we think should be here for us. Like we're far beyond shoulds.
Yes. Let's put this disclaimer out there first, as we always do. We don't create this platform, or we did not create this platform to come off as experts. We speak from experience and things we learned from others or through the podcast. So
that was this way of saying, let me just put that out there because she's about to go off on her opinion about what everybody should be doing. But I mean, hopefully, I want to have a real conversation. We laugh, we joke a lot, but are you saving for your retirement? And if the answer is no, then you got to get busy. Okay, because it can never be too soon. You can never be too young to start thinking about retirement. The way compounded interest works is to your advantage, even if it's $20, $50 a month to put something away. And so, I'm not a financial manager, but these are the things I wish someone would have told me when I was 19, when I was 20 years old, is, baby girl, save more than you spent, okay? And considering Social Security, as I mentioned, very well may not be here, at least not in the form of which we needed. I mean, since we were promised Social Security when we first started working, they keep pushing the age of retirement back even.
They do.
Yet, our mortality rate and when people are actually passing away is becoming sooner. So will you even see it if it's around is the question.
Okay.
What I want you to do today, and we've done this, right? We've had these conversations.
Yes, all the time.
I want you to either sit with a financial planner, okay, or you can go with a company, and I'm just throwing these out there. We get no endorsement or anything, like a Vanguard, for instance, which has very low fees, and they have what's called target funds so that you can almost inactively, you just save, you put it on auto program and you invest, and it'll start feeding your retirement. Look into traditional IRAs. If you're a business
Stop for
owner,
a second. What is an IRA?
Don't ask me. I never knew what it stood for. There you go. Shout it out. Individual retirement account. I just said I knew it as always IRA. SEP IRA if you're a business owner. A tool that I found out about as someone who is self-employed that allowed me to create a pension. A pension is basically, it's a fixed salary that you create for yourself in retirement, but this product I could actually take before retirement. It's called a GMIB.
Yes.
Guaranteed Minimum Income Benefit Fund. You can front load it and you create an automatic pension for yourself. Ours is growing at a guaranteed, get this because of when we got in, 7% return. So no matter what the market does, listen, stock market go up and go down. If it goes higher than 7%, we get the upside. If it goes lower, we still get a guaranteed at least 7%. So now just imagine if you front load. Never mind. Now I'm getting too microbial. Y'all gotta stop me.
Look, I'm about to tell her to stop right now because we got guests that we need to get on at this table. Okay,
we do, baby, but it's the Marriage and Money Podcast.
It is the Marriage and Money Podcast.
These are the questions in our comments, and people are like, "Go in more." Why does Mike always stop you?
Because we have guests, and they probably have something they want to say about this as well.
Well, I'll get to it. Let me put my readers on.
Put your readers on. Invest in reading.
So Mike and I, you know I can't take you sometimes. Mike and I had the distinct honor of having an interview recently with a lady that we found super fun, super interesting. She was interviewing us, and we were like, you know what, let's turn this around. And sometimes you know, when you ask the right questions, you start really learning about people and their story. And she and her husband have a very interesting one. So first,
they do.
Let me tell you, her name is Sharrarne, and her husband's name is Gary. Sharrarne and Gary Morton. Did I say that right? Shit. It's one more time.
I didn't want to say nothing, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm okay. I'm sorry. She put it there phonetically for me too. Here we go. We're gonna do a pickup, and they have a very interesting story. So Sharrarne and Gary Morton have been married for 32 years. But they separated for 8 of those years.
Right.
Gone and lived their life elsewhere.
Woo.
But fell back in love. So we want to find out that journey, right? But first, let me tell you. So Gary's a retired firefighter, and Sharrarne is an executive producer and host on Sirius XM Radio. So help us welcome them
Let's
to
go.
the show.
Let's get
32
into it.
years of wisdom here. Yes.
Welcome.
Welcome to the show.
Listen, I feel extremely appreciative that you flew in just to do this with us.
Yes, we were happy. But can we tell the truth about it, though?
Yes.
Please do.
So, I was interviewing Egypt, and she was fabulous as usual. And I was telling her about my husband and I, our story, our marriage journey.
Yes.
And she's like, I would love to have you on the show, girl. I was like, oh, I would love to be on the show. She said, okay, I'll see you in Atlanta. I was like, what? Atlanta what?
You thought it was virtual?
I think it was virtual, right?
The virtual takes all the fun out of it,
does.
though.
It does.
There's a different energy
And it
when
really
the presence
is.
is there.
Yeah.
And of
But
course, Sharrarne said, we're on our way to Atlanta.
And of course, you said what? Okay.
okay, whatever you say.
Yep.
Let me listen. The first thing that comes to mind, and I'm sure a lot of other folks that are listening and watching, 32 years. How did you make it to 32 years?
2 daughters,
Because,
right?
2
man,
adult daughters.
Adult daughters, yeah.
Yeah.
that just doesn't exist. You don't hear that
You
anymore.
really don't. We ask each other that too, don't we? In front of the therapist all the time.
Yeah.
Marriage counseling is a
Merch-
must.
Yes, it's a must.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, and as you said, I think before the break, we separated for 8 years and lived our own separate and complete, wonderful lives. I mean, my life I lived a good life.
Yeah, mine was a little more.
Oh, you missed her.
Oh, poor thing.
Yeah, I missed her, but I had to take care of my mom. My mom was sick.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I stayed with her.
Yeah.
About 6 of those years, I basically was taking care of my mom.
Yeah.
So,
Only child.
yeah,
Okay.
So
child,
not only a firefighter and a hero, but took care of his mother day
Okay.
and night. So yeah,
Yeah.
Was
and we
that-
remained friends.
Okay, was that part of why you separated?
Oh
they-
no,
okay.
no, that had nothing to do with
Okay.
Well, wait. Okay, so before we dig in, because folks want to hear the dirt, but really, this story is about the beauty of coming back together
Exactly.
and falling
Yeah.
in love again,
Exactly.
which
Yeah.
we're going to get to. But tell us just about you, your love story. 32 years ago.
32 years ago.
Well, we actually met at a cookout. Her relative. I was invited by a friend who knew her relatives, and when I walked in and I saw her, I was like, wow. So,
Did you see her from the front or the
extended
back?
wow.
I'm curious.
the front side, and the back.
And I was there with another date.
Okay.
And when he walked onto the deck, I said, "Well, I was playing volleyball, and the ball hit me in the head because I was like mesmerized."
At the same time,
At
both
the
of you.
same time, and my date was not happy, and I ended up leaving with Gary, and I left the date.
Wait,
Wait.
stop.
Yeah,
Sharrarne.
I'm serious.
What's your
Wow.
sign?
Leo? The
Okay,
lion.
What does that got to do with anything? I hate when people ask, what's your sign? The sign don't mean nothing.
Does you
It
always
does
say that? He always says that. I always try to connect signs and
No,
everything.
no,
He's like, shut up.
no.
Yeah.
But so, okay, the fact that you were there with someone else
Yes.
and actually left with this
And
man.
left with Gary, yes.
But wait,
And
what
we're
does that
here
sound
32
like,
years.
though?
Yeah.
I know.
It sounds like what? Love was meant, right? It was
no,
meant to be.
when I
no?
first
story.
seen her for the first time ever, I was with someone else, saw her from afar, and said, "That's my wife."
Left
and
the
left
other
that
girl
person.
in the club. I said, that's horrible.
Well, we got a lot. We got a lot in common. Yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah. And
So-
listen, I saw the guy 10 years later, and he was still mad.
He was.
Yes, he was
Think-
still mad.
But you know what? You only get that once in a lifetime.
That's right.
Opportunity, and when you feel it and you know it's different,
Yeah.
you gotta go.
Yeah.
You know, you have to follow your heart.
So, that. As a matter of fact, her friend was there with a guy that I played high school football with. And initially I thought he was, her date. But he wasn't. But it was.
So wait, who put the Mac on who then? Did you go over and start talking to him?
No,
or did-
no, I wasn't. No, I was kind of shy a little bit. Let me lie. Let me stop lying. No, I wasn't shy. But no, I didn't put the Mac on him. I told my girlfriend, "Oh, who was that?" She said, "Oh, I know him. That's Gary. I'm going to go tell him you like him." I said, "No." And when I went to the bathroom, she told him, and then Gary came over and started talking to me.
Okay.
And
I
I
was
told
getting
him,
ready to leave. I had to work the next morning shift. I was like, let me get out of here. I got to get up in the morning and go to work.
You almost missed your
Yeah, I
life.
almost missed it. Yeah. But she grabbed me before I went out the door. She was like, stop. My friend told me not to say anything, but she wants to talk to you. So I She's like, play it off. I said, all right. So I just
You still
turned
friends
around.
with that friend?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, still friends. Yeah.
So was it after that inseparable?
It
Basically.
was. Yeah, we were together for. Well, we got married
was
like a year and a
amazing.
half later. We got
Oh, wow.
married, bought a house, got a car, started a whole life a year and a half later.
So wait, so what were your ages when you met?
20, we got married at 25. So I think I was about 23, 24 when we met.
Okay.
And you were a few years older than me. So yeah.
20,
we were
was
young.
27.
Yeah, young. Now,
Okay.
Today it would be considered young. We got
Sharrarne
married at 25.
Sharrarne is amazing. I remember my first birthday, she surprised me. She was like, are you ready? I'm like, I come to the door, it's a limousine out there.
Wait, you sent a limo for him?
Oh, you
Yeah.
remember that?
Yeah, of course. Why would I
See, that's what we do. We bring back memories on this show, baby.
I'm about to cry. Okay.
Yeah, took
That
me
was
out.
our first. We
I
were
was
still
surprised.
dating. We were still dating, right? Yeah. Wow.
I'm thinking she was just gonna pull up. Yeah, we hanging out. I look outside. I was like, oh
A stretch limo in the 80s was a lot. Okay?
Yeah, it was.
Nowadays
Yeah.
it's not, but back in the
Yeah.
day it was.
It was.
Okay, so I grew up in Philadelphia, and
okay.
you know when a limo would come down Widener Place, everybody came outside
Yes.
and didn't know who was in it, but would start chasing the limousine down the street.
Yeah,
I have run after a few limousines in my day.
Yeah.
Only one time was there actually a celebrity in it. Special Ed, y'all remember Special
Special Ed.
He
I'm the
came to the
magnificent.
neighborhood record store, and I was chasing the limousine. I'm thinking about that now, like you big chicken head chasing the limousine. But okay,
But that's what happened, yeah.
So y'all have been
Yeah.
in love and inseparable, but you faced a series of hurdles in your marriage.
Oh, definitely. I don't know who hasn't.
I know.
But we
But that's the
we
truth.
did outlast all of our friends.
Yes.
You know, and we had a very small wedding. We didn't spend a lot of money. We invested in a house instead. A lot of our friends had big, huge weddings and didn't last, you know. I think a lot of times, especially with women, we tend to focus on the day, the wedding day, instead of the lifetime. And the lifetime is what is the toughest.
Well, that's why
Okay.
we canceled our first wedding, you know, and started all over. We realized as we got close to the marriage, we hadn't done any of that work
Yeah,
Right.
to
it's a
actually
lot.
prepare.
Yeah.
With us, I mean, we weren't going to have a very big wedding, but it was going to be. We planned on having more inclusive, friends. But I don't know, for some reason things got messy.
Okay.
Yeah.
We was like, it was just me and her
Yeah.
up front,
Yeah.
her family, some of my important family, and that was it.
Well,
Yeah.
weddings can bring out the best and the worst.
And the
Yes,
Yes, they
of
can.
course.
It
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
Like two of my best friends were fighting over who my maid of honor was going to be, and neither one of them knew that my sister was actually going to be the maid of honor. So neither one of them would have made honor.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But so you guys have these two beautiful daughters. You're,
Yes.
you're
Yes,
pursuing your career. Life is going great for you for 25 years, right? Or not?
Up and down, up
Yeah,
and
up and
down.
down.
Talk
It's
about
not
that.
easy. Yeah, I mean, 25 years staying together for that long. You know what I think people don't talk about is how you change as you get older.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I'm not the same 25-year-old. Gary's not the same 29, 30-year-old as we were when we got married.
Yeah.
So nobody tells you what's about to happen, 10 years from that date. How you mature, how you just, your whole perception on life and
Yes.
things. Once you become a mother, you really change. It takes a toll on the marriage, on the sex life. Did we have, how much sex were we, can I say?
You can
Yes.
go.
Okay.
Go ahead, open it up.
The sex kind of, once you have a baby,
it
you-
changes
It
things.
changes. I mean, we were
And
on.
then she went through a lot.
Let's
Yeah.
talk about that right there.
C-sections.
When you say the
Yeah.
sex changes because you had a baby, on whose part?
Probably the
yeah.
woman's.
Okay.
And
In
a
what
little
way?
bit of you
I think
too.
I had issues too.
Yeah.
I want to hear from both of you. What were
Well,
your
we were
issues and
swinging
what
from
were
the
yours?
chandeliers at first. You said I could be. You
Go.
said I could be.
No. We were the chandelier last night. That's why I'm laughing.
Look, I got two more chandeliers I'm about to go buy, too. Serious, stop playing.
Yeah, because we were married 6 years before the children came.
Yeah.
So we christened every room. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Everything.
2, 3, 4 times
Laundry
a day.
room.
Everything. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, you
Did we
turned
do
the laundry on and
room?
everything,
Yeah.
too.
We did that too.
But once
Put it on tumble.
But once the children came, it's just a whole different mindset. As a mother, you're exhausted. And no matter how great of a father, a man is. Gary was a great father. Most of the child rearing does, fall on the woman. So you're exhausted. I was nursing. I had 2 difficult pregnancies. Almost died with the last
Yeah,
one.
very
Oh, wow.
Both me and the baby.
Matter of fact, the doctor told us
no more children or we wouldn't make it. So it just took a toll, and you just don't focus as much on the love and the relationship. Yeah. All of your focus is on the children, and then you grow apart. You find yourselves growing apart, and that's what happens.
Roommates instead of lovers.
Roommates for real.
I think I had a lot of issues, and I think in particular because of my job. You know, I've seen some horrific things, and
As a
it's a
firefighter.
manly job, so you go. You got to suck it up, you know. God, oh man, stop being a punk, man. Come on. And so, I just didn't know how to reach out and deal with those issues like I really needed to, and it was consuming me in a lot of ways, you know. And just being very introvert and like, you know, just I mean, some of the things I had to deal with. Sometimes my eyes would just start quivering, and you know, it's times. You know, one of my chiefs, he was like, "Gary, why don't you go home?" But of course, you know, I'm being a man, you know, instead of cooling out or being able to seek help, you know.
Right.
That was a big thing.
Yeah.
So I think that dealt a lot with me, and I had issues, you know.
Right.
But there's a lot there with what you're saying.
Yes, it is.
And my uncle was a fire lieutenant
Yeah.
in Philadelphia. So
Okay.
I know police officers, firefighters, let me tell you, those in the medical field, they see some things in their day
Yes.
and then are expected to just go on with their life and not internalize it. But some things you can't unsee, right? And so I think when we consider how much time we spend at work on a daily basis, it's going to become a part of who we are if we don't learn how to deal with it, right? So I give a lot of honor to you just even acknowledging that. And I understand that you were coming home and you couldn't unpack that on her. She had the babies, you know, but you had to internalize it, and ultimately it started to affect
Oh, yeah, it
things.
took a toll. And I wanted to seek counseling, but, you know, I think the good thing about today is more and more people, black men especially, are embracing therapy.
Yes.
But back then they weren't.
Right.
And Gary wanted no parts of counseling.
It's taboo.
Oh, yeah. And that made things worse. Yeah. But you know what? I'm a good actress in that on the outside, it looked like everything was perfect. You know, we had the perfect home, the perfect family. Everybody looked up to us. But on the inside, I was dying.
Yes.
And it was killing me. And I was trying to get him to go to therapy. And I didn't realize how much. I knew he was going through a lot and was seeing a lot, but I didn't understand why he wouldn't come to therapy and open up and get some help. Yeah.
It just, like, I fed into, you know,
Being
the
a
whole
man.
thing being,
Yeah.
basically being a man. you
And so
know,
one day I just came home and I just said, hey, I cannot be married not another hour. I sat in the garage for about 2 hours contemplating, going back and forth, debating whether I was going to stay in this marriage. I had said I would stick it out until the children went off to college. And our first one had gone off to college. Our second one was in high school. I was so unhappy. And I just walked in and I just told him I can't do it, not
What was the
hour.
breaking point for you?
I just felt alone in the marriage. I just felt like I wasn't married. And so what was the point of being in a marriage legally? And it hurt both of us. But I felt afterwards, I just felt this release. You know, I just felt like I was free and I didn't have to feel guilty or angry or resentful anymore, because I was really resenting my husband, and that's not what you should do. You know.
Let me ask you something. Was there ever a point that you did share something at all?
As far
What
as
I'm trying to say is this, because there's men that attempt to speak out and say how they feel, but immediately they're belittled or they're judged or they're put down in a way to where they're like, I will never share anything again. Did that ever happen?
Well, I think with Sharrarne, she doesn't like anything gory. So I couldn't discuss
Gotcha.
a lot of stuff with her.
Gotcha.
I mean, she shut it down like, you know,
Don't bring that home.
don't,
Okay.
Yeah, the
and not so much
stories.
bring it home,
Yeah.
don't bring it home, but she just didn't like some of the stuff I had to deal with. I mean, I could
Horrific.
tell y'all some horrific stories.
I'm
about
sure.
So you
things
had
that
no
went on.
outlet,
Right.
though.
Yeah, I guess I could have had an outlet, but like what we do at work, sit around, Joan, talk, laugh it off, but that really wasn't dealing with the internal
Right.
with us, you know.
You
Or
need-
guys go out, you'll find a lot of firefighters, drugs, heavily alcohol, alcohol a lot. Marriage, separations, divorces, high. And so, it's just...
on top of what you do already, just men in general, that whole macho, be a man, stop crying, man up. It's that safe space of always wanting that safe space, even amongst your fellows, your fellow men, to where you want to be able to say, this is how I'm feeling, I'm emotionally this way, without having to feel like, oh, I got to, let me beat my chest and talk this way. So you don't have the safe space with your peers because you feel like you're going to be judged. And then to come home and not have a safe space, it's like, this is not working for me, right? So then what happens is you start to build a little bit of resentment as well, but you never speak on it. So now you're both just bouncing off a bunch of resentment, and then 25 years in, and you come in, I can't do this for another hour.
What did you say when she delivered that to you? Did you see it coming?
Hurt. I guess really I did, but I didn't want to acknowledge it. You know how you see stuff, but you don't, you kind of push it aside.
And I was telling you, I was saying I'm going to leave if this doesn't change. For several years, I said I'm going to leave as soon as the kids go off to college. If our marriage doesn't get better, if we don't go to therapy, counseling, as soon as the girls go off to college, I'm out. And I don't think he really believed me, or he just didn't accept it or whatever. And then that day arrived, and he just had a hard time accepting
So it wasn't about another person.
No,
You guys didn't stray.
No.
I think people believe that, if there's a separation or marriage doesn't work, often it has to do with some infidelity.
No.
But there are a lot of other problems
Oh,
that
a
people
whole
can
lot.
have in relationships that do not include infidelity, right?
Yes.
So 8 years you were separated. Was it an ugly separation?
No. Gary, as you can tell, he's real laid back, sweet, kind guy. He didn't give me any problem. We didn't have an argument or anything. It was amicable. We were both hurting. And it was painful, but there was no argument. There was no hard way. He just said, okay, and he lived in the house in the basement for a year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then I finally said, you're going to have to move on because I didn't date for a year. I couldn't date with him in the basement, So I said, you've got to move on. We've got to have our own lives. And so that's what happened. But we remained friends because we're very close to our daughters.
Okay.
And I think it was harder on him because he had to take care of his mom.
But really, that's what saved me.
Taking care of your mom saved you.
Mother?
It was a distraction that took me away from I was in pain, I hurt, and the whole 9 yards, but I had to focus on her. It was, her medical and issues were, I had to focus and do what I had to do. So it helped more. Sometimes I say, even though it's a tough situation and it was kind of bad for my mom, I said, sometimes I say, God put that in place to keep me, to save me,
So, all right. Married 25 years, all of a sudden you guys are separated. You're trying to redefine what life looks like for you. You're getting back out on the dating scene. You're rediscovering your waistline, like all of these new things. You're starting. Had you, in your marriage, did you keep yourself together, both of you? Or did you have to put yourself back together, once you said...
I had to put myself
You had to put yourself back together?
And slip, just...
mentally, physically?
Both. Mentally and
okay.
physically, so I really had to dig in and
I can't hear you. You guys.
No, I had to dig in and
you taking them down memory lane. So now you're like, oh gosh,
and change some things about the way I went about certain things. But like I said, most of my focus was on making sure my mom was okay. But I had to make some changes, and finally things started kicking in. Started trying things, and
So Sharrarne, talk to me.
Yeah, I always kept myself together. Women, society it's what is it? A double standard for us. I never let myself go. I'll be 58. I think I'm doing okay. Okay, yes, because that was part of the problem too. I felt like I was keeping myself up. Gary wasn't keeping himself up, and I think society is harder on women. To keep ourselves together. And it was hard after 2 children and years of marriage and cooking dinner every night. It was tough. But yeah, I managed to do it.
Do you, looking back retrospectively, both of you guys, do you feel like you were in a depression?
I was. I know.
Yeah.
I was.
You speak up, Bo.
Yeah, I was. I'm sorry. Yeah, I was. And you know,
We didn't know it though, did we?
Yeah, no, I didn't
Yeah.
know.
Okay.
Just from everything I talked about with the job. I just like my job was rough. A lot of times I was assigned to very busy companies. I mean, we would run sometimes in a 24-hour shift. I could run 30-something, 40 calls.
Wow.
That means
Yeah,
you
that's
are
a lot.
like, you know,
Wow.
we come back to the firehouse and I barely get my butt on the bunk.
Right.
Bells are going off again.
Another
so,
fire.
Wow.
You
Yeah.
know, and I've always been in a culture of, I've loved it because I started volunteering when I was 18 years old. So it was something that I knew I wanted to do, but it can be taxing after year.
And it's not just fires, it's delivering babies,
Yeah,
it's
medical calls,
suicides,
yeah.
it's heart
Yeah,
attacks,
yeah,
it's men taking too much
Yeah.
Viagra.
Yes.
And, I mean,
What?
just
I wanna
crazy.
hear that story.
Yes. Yes.
So wait,
I mean-
it's a job where literally you save lives
Yeah.
on a
Yes.
daily
Oh,
basis, but you
definitely.
can't save everybody.
No.
You know, one of my most toughest calls was, and it wasn't really, I could tell you some traumatic stuff, but we got a call one day, and it was right around the corner from the firehouse. And we pull up and get there, and, you know, superintendent, he's like, go down in the basement. We go down in the basement, and it's a guy, probably younger than me. He hung himself, and he's just spinning around. And
Oh,
I'm
my
trying
gosh.
to think, like, what was so bad
Right.
to make him jump up there, you
Right.
know? And like I said, that wasn't like, that doesn't even come close, but just the psyche of
Yes.
it.
And then not
Wow.
coming home to tell me about it.
Right.
I didn't know
So you
anything.
don't even know that's what
I
he
don't
saw.
know.
Yeah.
So he's
Yeah.
suffering on the inside as a result of seeing this.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm at home suffering. So like you said, we're
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know,
A
bouncing
collision
on.
waiting to
yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
What was something that you experienced that you will never be able to forget, that sticks with you even to this day
y'all
through
want
therapy?
the whole story?
Well, yeah, it may
One
or
day-
may not make it to
yeah.
edit, but yeah, we're
Yeah.
having a good conversation.
Okay, so one day,
Make it short, boo. I'm
okay.
sorry because I can't.
One day
it messes with me when
Yeah.
I hear it.
one day we had a run. I was in the same firehouse, but I was assigned to the engine company. I'm usually assigned to the heavy rescue squad. So we had a call one day. It was like I remember it was 300 block of C Street
It was in
for
DC, right?
a car accident, and they just said where people struck. So we pull out the house, we get there. I mean, it is horrific. This guy had suffered from seizures really bad. He wasn't supposed to drive, but he did this day. He tried to make it to the doctor's office and come home. Well, he had a severe seizure, went out of control. They said he was coming up 3rd Street doing about 90 miles an hour. He hit 2 guys, and literally, one guy's leg was standing up in the street, not attached to his body.
Wow.
Fingers, you could see police officers taking paint, you know, putting circles around all the fingers. These dudes were like destroyed, like a bomb went off and hit him. Then he went up the street, he bounced off of like 8 cars and flipped over. He died. And it was really tough.
This is heavy.
I mean,
Well,
blew
it's-
them apart, blew these 2 guys apart. You know, you couldn't even recognize them. They were.
And I understand what you're saying. This is heavy, but I also understand what that's like for him to
Yeah.
see that kind of destruction
Yeah.
on a daily basis, and then not be able to come
Come
home
on, yeah.
Yeah.
and tell you about
And
it.
see, that's
and so
the
he's
one-
suffering in
oh,
silence.
Excuse me.
But-
That's the one that the chief, he was like, girl, you don't look good. You want to go home? And I just sucked it out. I just went upstairs and got in the bunk. But it was and I think it was devastating for all the guys, but we playing the macho role,
Right.
you know, just stuck it out.
Speak to that new firefighter, that wannabe firefighter right now, as to what they should be prepared for, what
No,
they should
don't.
do.
Yeah.
No.
'Cause we won't have
Listen
any
to what I'm saying.
firefighters.
Yeah.
No,
Let's not
not
go there,
the
babe.
job. For yourself.
What do you mean? What should they
What
prepare
they
for?
should
You
do
mean for
to
their
prepare
families
themselves
to
for work.
Oh.
Mentally.
We're going elsewhere now,
Well,
babe.
you need to prepare yourself. It's an awesome job, and I think certain people in life are geared towards certain types of jobs. You know, you're not going to get. I don't think you're going to get everybody to sign up to be a police officer or a firefighter or certain jobs. But I would just tell them to be mentally and physically prepared for everything. But the thing that's different now, a whole lot has changed, just like society, social media.
Yeah.
They won't hesitate now to have these guys go to
Counseling.
counseling.
Yeah.
The EAP.
that's
and
good.
they demand it, and they'll bring them to the firehouse.
that's why I asked.
Whereas
Good,
back in the day, it was a hush hush, or the chief or a captain. Nah, we don't need that.
Yeah.
That's a
now
good thing.
it's mandatory.
Yeah.
Right.
There
so
we go.
it's different. It's different.
There we
now.
go.
So you recognize that obviously he was in a depression. You slowly began to put yourself back together. But I want to take y'all back to that moment. Okay, he moves out of the basement because you said we really got to do this.
Yeah.
I can't move on with my life if you're still in the house.
Right.
When he left, what changed about your life? What did you do differently?
Well, my girls were adults, and I just began to live the life that I wanted to live. It was all about me. By this time, I was 50. I was ready to date because I hadn't dated for that whole year.
Right.
But I didn't know that dating had changed. Everything was on apps, right? And so my daughters were like, "Mom, you have to get on this app and that app." I'm like, "An app?" So they showed me what to do, and I got on an app, and I mean, the men were coming at me like at 100 miles an hour. I was in shock, right? Here I am, 50 years old, not thinking I'd be able to date. So I started dating. But the thing is, I wasn't interested in being serious. I wasn't interested in getting married. I almost took on a male persona. I just wanted to have a good time and have fun because I hadn't been on a date since 1989. We got married in 1990, right? Oh, boo, you don't like hearing this? I'm sorry.
Good. Go ahead.
Okay.
Of course he didn't like hearing about you dating other people.
It's just
Of
like-
course.
But you have heard
But he
this,
knew.
though, right?
Yeah, he's heard it. Yeah, but okay.
But I know the
You know,
feeling,
it's
though,
just
brother.
life. It's
I know the
life.
feeling.
But no,
It's life.
I really want to hear this
life.
because listen, the beauty in it is they're back together. So there's a story of coming full circle.
Yes.
And also sometimes when we think it's over, it's not over. It's a chapter of growth. And sometimes people, especially when you get married young,
Yes.
you're gonna have moments where maybe you grow apart. You really grow apart.
That's right.
And
That's
you
right.
got to let that happen too to trust the process.
Yeah.
And it brought you back together. But so you're out in the world.
I'm out in the world.
50.
Having
Fabulous.
Yes.
And on apps. Okay.
Yes.
What's the craziest date that you went on while you were out in the world? Because something tells me that's what made you come running right back to
No,
him.
that's how it made me come running back. But the craziest date was a man that brought his baby on the date because the mother had left the baby on the the porch.
Wow.
I guess she had said, "It's your turn now," or whatever, and he brought the baby with him on the date. That's the craziest story.
Well, so he had to be
Alrighty
a
then.
very young man then. He wasn't
he was
52.
like in his 40s. Yeah, 40s, 45. You can be, how old can you be to have a, men can,
I mean,
they
yeah.
can have.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was the craziest date. But I was just having a good time. But I never found a man like Gary. Not that I was looking for, but I never found somebody who, like Gary had my back 100%. Like, this was my man, 100 grand, whether we were married or not. So I never really wanted to remarry because I didn't think I'd ever find somebody who would have the kind of spirit that he has. You know, there's a spirit, as you can probably feel right now about
definitely.
him. But I still wanted to have a good time, and I had no intentions of ever coming back to him. But God always has a plan that you know nothing about.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Gary, did you date while you guys were separated?
Yeah, a few times. A few dates. But it just, I never really found nothing. I guess somebody asked me before, are you comparing these women to Sharrarne? I was saying no, but I guess deep down I was.
Like, she just don't look
But
the
I
same
just-
from the side and the front and the back.
Yeah. So, but it was rough. I didn't really think we were gonna get back together.
Right.
It's just sometimes she could be tough. You see this little persona.
Did you
she could
fight
be
for her
tough.
though? I mean, during that, sometimes we want you to fight for us. I'll be honest with you. If we feel like we're not getting the emotional commitment and attachment we need, the intimacy.
Yeah.
Sometimes we may even make threats that we don't want to follow through on.
Yes.
Like you know what? I can't take this.
That's right.
I'm leaving. Because we want to see a rise. We want a reaction. We want passion. We want you to show that we matter.
Yes.
And so did you ever, before you left the house, did you fight for her?
Being honest.
No.
So I didn't think he wanted me.
Yeah.
He
I
never.
just didn't.
Yeah.
You didn't have any
I
fight
don't
left
want
in
to. I
you.
shouldn't say I couldn't, but I just.
You
I
didn't have
didn't know
any
how
fight
to
left in you.
navigate. I didn't.
And you were depressed and didn't
Yeah,
know
I
it,
was
and
just-
I didn't
and
know
I was
he
all over the
depressed.
place,
Yeah,
mentally.
yeah.
Yeah.
But he never, like, one of the other reasons I left was because, women, we need compliments. We need you to acknowledge, okay, babe, yeah, you 50, but you still look 40, okay? Or, that looks nice, or dinner is good, or something, but that never happened.
Let me throw this out there, though.
Yeah.
Us human beings need compliments.
That's true.
Because us men need it too, okay?
That's true.
It goes
That's
both
true.
ways.
I say to him, he'll be in the kitchen. I'm like, your name must be Bunny because you show is fluffy. And he's like,
Is that a compliment, though?
I just do silly stuff like that. No, that's a compliment he should give me. But that's what I'm saying is like we also have this like sarcastic relationship too. So I'll throw stuff at him that I know he's gonna be like, "You're stupid,"
Right.
but it makes us laugh, and it shows
you
that
need
like I'm
laughter.
still looking.
Yeah, you
Yes.
need laughter.
Can I share something that was odd story about while we were separated? I used to come up a lot, so and I
Back to town.
come back to town to DC and area and hang out, and I had some relatives that would help me out with my mom. So one day they used to have this. I don't think Sharrarne remember, or she says she doesn't really remember, but I could tell I was at peace more because I went to this jazz thing. Actually, I was supposed to come with a young lady I was dating, but something happened and she couldn't make it or she didn't want to go. And I met some friends there.
Okay, so what happened?
So we get there, and so so we get there, and Sharrarne is there with a date.
Oh.
And it's this little tent where, we were smoking cigars. And she's sitting like right there in front of us,
Did I see you? Did I see you?
I said hi to you, but I guess I wasn't on the radar no more, so, But
hold on, but you're still married legally.
Yeah,
we
legally
were
we're still
legally
married.
At
married.
this point, you were separated for how long?
But you know what? I
It
remember,
had been like 6-7 years.
I
Probably.
remember at one point that would have crushed me. I would have had to leave.
Yeah.
I just, I was like, it is what it is, and what can you
Wow.
do? I'm not gonna cause I'm not the type who can cause no ruckus anyway.
Right.
So you didn't even know this happened?
I must not. I don't remember.
You
Was
saw
I
me.
sitting right in front of you?
Yeah, y'all on these little lawn chairs
my
right
God,
there.
I'm so
And you said
embarrassed.
hi.
I would have
think
moved. I would have moved if I had
I
known.
think I walked away, but I think you was you like, this is my date, and I was
To
like,
who?
hey,
I said it to
me.
you. Oh, I don't remember. I'm sorry.
But we were right behind them. I didn't run. I smoked my cigar. I was with my friends and stuff. And
So
I
you were
was
at
like,
peace. Okay.
I was, I became at peace because, what do you do? I ain't gonna
There's a
go
lot of
get
things you could do if you see
I ain't not gonna
your
go
wife
get
you're
an
separated
AKA
from
and
on a
start
date with
shooting up the
somebody
whole
else.
jazz festival. You know what I'm saying? But no, and that's when I was like, well, dang, I'm at peace with it more
You're feeling
now.
okay
you
now.
know.
Okay.
Wow.
So, all right.
So you want to know how we got back together?
Well, yeah, because you guys go through
yes.
this separation. You're
Yes.
dating. He's seeing you out in the world,
Yeah.
right? You got dates with babies, and and
I'm just scuffling
and he's out
along.
scuffling along with these random women and
Yeah.
figuring out his situation. When did you all decide that, you know what, I think I like you again? I think, maybe there's something here that we can rediscover.
It was me that decided, right, Bro?
Kind of, sort of, but we
Okay.
talked about, she brought up the fact that we never really delved into counseling. And would it be
Okay.
an option? I was like, okay, yeah.
Was this on the
of course.
phone or in person?
No,
This
this
was
was on the phone.
But
Because I
then-
was in North Carolina.
But you
I'm
were
down-
still coming up to see the girls. And I remember one time for Father's Day, he came up to see the girls and asked if I wanted to come out to dinner with them. And I was like, oh, sure, okay. And, he smelled good. I was like, okay. And he had on a nice suit. I'm like, oh, okay, man. Shoot, let me see about
Looking
this.
better than these Tinder gentlemen.
Let me reevaluate some things.
reevaluate some things, okay? And not to mention, my mother had said, Sharrarne, you're on your way to 60. You can't be out here in these streets and these clubs. You need to, look back at your husband. I'm sure he's willing to go.
Yeah,
to counseling.
hoeing at 60 is not a good look.
Hoeing is not a good look. That's exactly what she said. You out here hoeing.
Hoeing in the
Yeah.
streets at 60.
I was like, Mom. But anyway, I didn't want to say because I didn't want to make Gary mad. See, you didn't look at his face. I I didn't want to say it, but that's what she
but
said.
I'm like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
you might read me, but
Yeah.
life is what
I think
it
I
is.
said that to one of your somebody who called me. I think it was Kim who called me, and I told her that.
So here, I'm wrapping my brain around this. You know, so you're living your lives. He comes to visit the girls. Y'all go out to dinner.
Yeah.
He all of a sudden is looking different because he's not in a depression anymore.
I don't know, but it was something. He was at peace, like he said, and I don't know what it was. But then I called him and I said, "Hey, you know, maybe we should try therapy. You've got to be willing to go to counseling." And we can see what happens. Yeah. And he was willing this time, whereas so many other times before he wasn't.
Were you retired at that point?
Yeah, I've been retired.
Yeah, been retired.
I had been retired even before the actual.
So you go to therapy. What comes out in therapy that makes you guys realize what you have is salvageable?
Well, he just brings some different perspectives. How and it wasn't just them, her. It's like you got to look at yourself too.
Of course.
He said that.
What are you doing? What are your mistakes?
Right.
What can you correct? What can you do? You know, and I don't know. It just made me more aware that it needs work, and I need to work at it 100. I need to put in the work.
same
100%.
And we're still in therapy. It doesn't end.
No.
You
No.
cannot, the minute you stop, that's when things start to crumble. You need an outside perspective.
Are y'all hanging from the chandeliers these days?
We're working on it,
Semi.
Sima. Yeah, we're older. You know, he had a
You
what
climbing
happened
up
to
the
your
ladder and then
leg the
grabbing
other
the
night?
ladder.
He had a what you have, boo? And we had to stop, and I had to put some Ben Gay on you. What was it?
Cramp, you know.
He had a cramp in his leg. We had to stop.
I almost hit the double cramp. I was like,
I'm like,
hold up.
damn, wait a minute. So
Hey.
we had to stop.
That thing checked the drive out immediately, man. That pain hit you. You're like,
It
oh
wasn't
my
Ben Gay.
God.
Oh, it was
Done ran out
it
of
was
gas.
icy hot. I had to go get for you. Or hemp cream.
Oh, you used
it
the
was
hemp
something.
cream.
Yeah.
So you got the hemp cream on your side. He got the icy out on
And
his
I had
side.
to wait about 10 minutes.
So
and
she
he
ended
was
up
like,
having to do therapy on me and stuff. So,
then he was like,
you know,
okay,
it
I'm ready.
happens,
I'm
man.
back.
So that's what 32 years really
Yeah,
looks
that's
like.
what
See, most
32
people
years
would
looks
lie
like.
about that.
Right.
Oh, no, man. But it happens.
It
yeah.
happens. So,
You know, so.
we can't. Yeah, we need a ladder to reach the chandelier.
See, but that's why you got to stay fit during the relationship.
Yeah, I'm
So
telling
you don't get
you.
them
I'm
cramps.
trying to hit the gym.
No,
now.
I don't
really
feel
am.
bad no more.
What?
I don't feel bad
Right.
anymore.
It happened
No,
to
there was
y'all?
one where I was like, I don't like this position. Let me up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. As you get older,
Yeah.
your body
Yeah.
lets you know.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So.
Yeah,
You can't do it like when you were in your 20s and 30s
Yeah,
no
but you
more.
try. You can try.
Yeah,
Right.
you try.
Sure, try. Just keep the icy hot.
And that's
on
the-
there.
Right,
Yeah.
right by the bed. We keep it right by the bedside table.
So with this whole journey, you guys have been on 32 years, and thank you for keeping it honest and real. That you know what, marriages work,
Yes.
and it's not all perfect, and sometimes you may grow apart if you don't stay plugged in with each other,
you do.
right?
You have to stay
But
plugged
there's
in.
still hope for growing back together.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
again. What are the biggest takeaways that you would say to someone else right now who maybe is struggling? You know, how do they find their way back to each other?
Well, blowjobs help. Okay.
You gotta X that out, huh?
Okay,
No, we
you gotta
don't.
Edit that
No,
out.
we don't.
Okay.
Look. You want to keep it 100?
I'm telling
We
you,
keep it
They
100
bring you closer
because
together.
because you say stuff like that and automatically people want to
This is-
shut
it's
down.
true.
Right.
If you
shouldn't.
are
You
a
shouldn't.
grown person in a relationship,
Yeah.
those are the conversations that
You gotta
don't
get
come
the
up.
realest
Right.
podcast
You
I've
gotta
ever
have
had.
those conversations
really
with
do.
your. Here's why you gotta have those conversations with the person you're with and plan on continuing to be with. Because as you grow, your wants change, right?
Yes.
So you may say, "Listen, I wasn't into that before, but listen, I want to try this. I want to do
Right,
this.
right.
I appreciate a BJ, a blowjob
Yeah.
every afternoon."
Right. What man
And if you
doesn't?
really honestly feel that way,
Yes.
express it. And she may say, "Well, you know, I can only do them on Saturdays."
Right.
But
Or-
you may have to
at least
accept
you
that.
know.
You know,
Yeah.
Saturdays
saying?
I can
Or
get
my
So-
back is hurting, but my lips aren't. You know.
So people are so scared to have those conversations.
Yeah, right.
And they
Yeah.
wonder why. For instance, there's a lot of men that have fantasies that they never express,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Yeah.
So they either cheat because the wife won't do it, or they never even told the wife, right? Or they tell the wife and she's like, oh my God, how dare you? What do you mean? That's your husband.
Right.
At least express it and talk about it, right?
I think we gotta work
Those
on that,
are important conversations that don't get had.
Yeah. So that really helps because you can be
still cracking up because you were so raw about it. I love it. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, you can be mad, but sex will bring anybody together. You're in the bed, you're going to start talking. You know, you're not going to be angry anymore. You're going to be hungry. You're going to be hugging and kissing. And then that's when you can approach some of the issues that you've been having.
Well, let's be careful with that, too, because it's twofolds. It won't, and you know, the whole sapiosexual situation, right? Where.
What does that mean, baby? What's a sapiosexual?
That's what I meant to say. Sapiosexual. Okay. That's what I said. It's more of an intellectual, mental attraction that causes the physical to happen, right? So, in some cases, because you said sex will bring everybody together. In some cases, you can't even get to the bed if you can't get to my mind first.
Well, but you know what? I think a lot of times for women, sex is up here. For men, a lot of times it's down there. And I think women need to understand that men are different from us. And a lot of times, if you're not getting what you need from your man, you can probably get a lot from him if you satify him, if you pleasure him, if you rub his head, if you give him a massage.
Did you almost take your glasses off?
Almost.
Don't I give you massages and rub your head, run bath water? So even if I'm mad at him, I still will rub his head. I realize that.
Which head?
Shut up, Michael Jackson.
She opened the door.
I get it. Voting that part
Okay, you want to go there, both heads. Both heads. There's nothing wrong with that. But I start here at the top first. But I'm just saying, I think women need to understand that men are a lot more sexual, very visual. Keep yourself together. If you pay attention to him, touch him. A lot of times it doesn't even require sex. If you just touch him, hug him, kiss him, rub his head, you can.
He's like a little puppy right now.
Oh my
He's
God!
like, oh, yeah,
yes,
right
they love it. The other night, I just hugged him and rubbed him. He said, "Oh, that feels so good." So I don't think women understand how important sex and intimacy is for men. On a regular, even if you're only having sex once or twice a week, you still got to be touching him.
Yeah,
it's
but
important.
I want to say this to men: it is important to us, right? But at the same time, foreplay or just those conversations need to happen before you just expect a woman to automatically want to do that.
That's true.
Because I'm not the one to always just lean on a man's side. Men, you have to step up as well, and don't just think automatically you're just gonna get your head rubbed or you're gonna have a massage, whatever the case may be. You got to open up as well and speak.
That's
because
true.
foreplay can start at 8 a.m. in the morning. Hey, babe, how you doing? 10 a.m. another text, and then when that moment comes, then you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Well,
he likes me
foreplay
to text him 1,000,000 times a day with all the things I'm going to do when I see him tonight.
Oh, that's nice.
Okay. And then we get home at night and both of us be like, "You tired? I'm tired. I'm tired.
happens. That
Let's
happens.
start again tomorrow."
You know what she does then? I'm going to have to rain check you. Rain check? What the hell is a rain check?
But foreplay for me is helping keep the house clean. You know, washing the dishes. That turns me on.
That's turning him on too. 'Cause I don't do it.
You don't do it. But I do give rain checks. When I'm tired, I do give rain checks.
Speaking of checks.
Listen, we've had fun. We've had fun, guys. But what we like to do is wrap it up with one to go on and one to grow on. Do you want to take the first or?
I'll take the first. I always pull from the conversations what sits with me, and what's sitting with me with this particular conversation is that, yes, relationships require work, but they also require effort, right? You can do all the work, but not really give any effort towards that work. So you're only doing the minimal that is required. And accountability. Right? We get into relationships and think they're going to always be there. So you're not taking accountability for your actions. So effort and accountability.
Yeah.
Good.
I think what I was supposed to learn from this was to pick one night a week and schedule a BJ.
Yeah.
Like just
Right.
one
I
night.
think that'll work really well.
But I think ultimately what I learned is Bengay makes it on the shopping list.
There you go. There you go. Keep it on the bedside table.
Tell folks where they can find you guys.
SharrarneMorton.com. Gary, you're on Facebook. Gary Morton.
Facebook.
Yeah.
It has been
that's where you can find us.
a pleasure. You guys are
Yes,
so
it
honest, so
has.
funny,
Thank you.
so real and raw. Thank you for putting it all all out there for us.
Thank you
It's
for
been
having us.
fun.
This was fun.
Guys,
Uh-oh.
subscribe.
Subscribe.
We went in today. Subscribe right now. If you would love what you're watching, we got to make sure by hitting that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you know every time we have a new podcast episode.
And tell your friends to tell their friends to subscribe. And make sure you watch Marriage.
No,
not Marriage.
Married to Real Estate.
Married to Real Estate. Discovery Plus and season 3 will be on HGTV.
All right. It's the Marriage and Money Podcast with Egypt and Mike. Bye-bye. Don't forget your calendars. Schedule.